started. Again, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Chantel Smith, and I'm the coordinator for recruitment and programming here in the Honors College at University of Maryland. Tonight, we'll be going over the University Honors Living Learning Program, which will be presented by University Honors Director, Dr. Stephen Blotti, and Assistant Director of Student Engagement, Kaylee Maraca. Also joining us in the chat area are Dr. Jenny Lang, the Associate Director of Admissions, Dean Herbert, Assistant Director of Student Achievement, and a number of our current University Honors students. The presentation will be about 10 to 15 minutes, but will be available throughout the whole entire time to answer your questions until about 6:55 p.m. Please keep your sound muted for the duration of this chat unless otherwise told. Also, please make sure to send your questions to everyone in the chat area so we can see the questions and answers. And if we miss answering your question, please just ask it again, no problem. And keep in mind, this presentation is being recorded, so if you do not want to be on camera, please turn your cameras off at this time. We'll also provide contact information at the end in case you have additional questions later. And without further ado, here's Dr. Stephen Blotti to talk about University Honors.
Thanks, Chantel, and good evening, everybody. It's good to see at least some of you, and it's great to see so many of you joining us. As Chantel says, my name is Stephen Blotti. I'm the Director of University Honors. I'm also an Associate Director in the Honors College and an affiliate faculty member in the Department of Philosophy. And we're really delighted to be with you tonight to share with you a little bit about some of the experiences and opportunities you can anticipate when you join us here in UH at the University of Maryland. The plan for this evening is to get as quickly as we can to why we're really here, which is to hear from you and to answer your questions. What I'd like to do briefly, and we've done some introductions already, so I'm going to skip ahead to the next item, is to talk about the program in general, a bit about the curriculum and sort of academic life in UH. At that point, I'm going to hand it over to Kaylee, who, as Chantel says, is our Assistant Director for Student Engagement, and she's going to talk a bit about student life in UH. And then we will open it up to questions, and we'll tell you a little bit more about how we'd like to manage those then. But most importantly, at that point, we'll invite in some of the UH students, current UH students we have with us on the call, and we have a number of them, and I'll let them introduce themselves when we get to that stage. So that's the plan in a nutshell. As I say, here we are. As I say, the program, an overview of the program. So University Honors, or UH, is Maryland's original honors program. So we trace our roots back to the mid-1960s, 1966 exactly. And it is also the Honors College's largest living learning program. So you can think of us a little bit like a small liberal arts college within the wider university. We're about the size of some small liberal arts colleges. We bring in about 500 students every year, each fall. And that makes it, I think, just big enough to for you to see sort of all walks of life and backgrounds and interests in our community, but also small enough to feel like you're known and very much a part of our community. About that community, you'll see here a brief statement that you can also find on our website that reflects kind of our mission and our overall ethos. I'm not asking you to read all of this now, and there won't be a quiz at the end of this, but you can see maybe in some of the words highlighted here, you get a sense maybe of what we're all about in UH. So let me say a little bit about the academic portion of UH, which is obviously our bread and butter, and much of the reason I know that you all are interested to join us. I've over the years, I've gotten to the point where I feel like I can kind of summarize the academic life in really three phrases, if you like. So the first is breadth through multidisciplinarity, and I'll talk about each of these as we go. Depth through structure, and flexibility through choice. So I want to tell you a little bit about what I mean by each of those. And then I think that'll help maybe inform or ground some of the questions that you might have for us. So by breadth through multidisciplinarity, what I mean is first that we are, as I say, a bit like a liberal arts college. We, in our curriculum, offer courses that are drawn from really every corner of the campus. So every academic college and school you will see represented in our curriculum and in our faculty. And that's reflected in our student population. We have in the program almost every major on the campus represented in some portion of students or others. I think Dean and I were talking about the data a few days ago, and I believe the University of Maryland offers something like 105 majors, and we, in our student population, in our community, we represent something like 75 of them. So you get a real cross section of the university in UH. And then I think the other way we achieve breadth is through our association with general education. So you will, as you complete your citation in UH, be able to satisfy many of your general education requirements. So there's an opportunity here to double dip as you work through our curriculum and achieve your citation, and also satisfy your gen eds along the way. By depth, I really mean I mean to say something about how the curriculum is structured. We start with what we call our Gateway Seminar. This is a 1-credit course for all first-year students, that is really in many ways about you and planning for the 4 years ahead. We turn then to sort of the core of the curriculum, which we have organized and structured around themes. So our curriculum is made up of clusters of courses that are organized around a theme. You can see an example here. And what that allows you to do is to have that multidisciplinary experience. You take a history course and also a music course or a science course, and to go deep on a topic, in this case, revolution. And you can get a flavor here for some of the kinds of courses that you can expect to see in those clusters. And I would say that what we call UH Week is happening later this month, and we will be revealing the next 4 thematic clusters here in just a matter of days. So by the time you join us in the fall, there will be 8 clusters running, and they are constantly cycling. So you will have a lot of opportunity to choose. Our theory and practice tracks are sort of the other structure in our curriculum, and this is what allows us to pair theoreticians or scholars on the campus with practitioners, often experts in DC. So the person you see here is DJ Rosenthal. DJ's a UH alum, but he's also was during the Obama administration, the director of counterterrorism for the National Security Council, an advisor to President Obama, and is sort of an example of the kind of person that the kind of way that we exploit our connection and proximity to DC in our curriculum. The Vantage Point Seminar is sort of the bookend to the Gateway Seminar. This is, again, in many ways, a course about you, and it's an opportunity for you to plan for the remaining 2 years of your time at the university, whether that be a pivot to departmental honors, to intensive research, study abroad, the pursuit of national and international scholarships. This is Natalia Stepanova, who was a recipient of one of this year's Marshall Scholarships, one of the most prestigious international scholarships that are available to students studying in the States. And that course is about gearing you up to make a run at any of those various opportunities available on the campus. And then last, and fairly briefly, flexibility. One of the things that UH allows and really encourages is for you to choose your path. You choose which clusters you want to take, which tracks you want to take. You choose the courses within those clusters. You're not required to take all of those courses. You take them in the order you like. You decide when to take them. That flexibility is really important as you think about your 4-year plan. So this is just a few examples of the really myriad ways that you can navigate your way through our curriculum as you simultaneously satisfy a lot of those gen eds, and also complete your major. And as we know, some of those majors are demanding, and so that kind of flexibility can be really important, I think, as you figure out your way, you piece your way through your academic program. So that's it for me, and now I can be muted. I want to hand it over to Kaylee Maraka, as I say, our Assistant Director for Student Engagement, who's going to say a word or two about life in the UH community. Kaylee?
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad you're here with us tonight. Again, my name's Kaylee. I work with student engagement within University Honors, and just want to very quickly share some of the very many things that are happening in UH to help connect students both to UMD and also really to bring their college experience to life. So we don't think of UH as a living learning community in name only. It really is designed to be a comprehensive way to support students in thriving at UMD, at finding their place, at being able to dig into their passions, at being able to make connections both with their classes and outside of the classroom. So one of the ways that we talk about this, and Stephen, if you could advance the slide, is through co-curricular work. So what that means for us is that students are going to be challenged in learning both inside and outside of the classroom within UH. There are opportunities to interact with faculty in faculty chats. There are opportunities to bring the learning from the classroom to the space outside of campus, and for students to really have an opportunity to connect with each other and with the community around Maryland. The folks that you see on the screen, if you're able to see the slides, are some of our peer academic leaders, or PALs, who serve and they work with our first year students in coming into our gateway seminars, but also really start to work on network building. So of course, coming into the college environment, a goal is to make friends, to really be successful both within your major and outside of your major. And we have an entire leader network within University Honors that's designed to make sure that as you're coming into University of Maryland, there's lots of opportunities to connect with other students, with upperclassmen students, and with each other. We know those networks are critical, not only for having other people in your area that you can, connect with in the residence hall or going to dinner, but really also people who will become colleagues in student organizations who will help you to connect you to internship opportunities, will connect you to alumni and job opportunities in the future. And so we do have, as we've mentioned, some students with us today. And so I'm going to keep this part brief because I really want to allow them to discuss their opportunities in University Honors. So I hope you'll ask them some questions. One thing I do want to say is that all of these opportunities are also designed as leadership training. So we want University Honor students to come in and be able to be successful and have opportunities to lead, to build their resume, and to connect as leaders on the University of Maryland campus as well. The last thing I will mention around how we help students to connect with each other is that all of our University Honors students, when they come into their first class, are sorted into one of our 4 University Honors houses. Now, these houses are traditions and opportunities for students to connect with other folks in the honors program, since we are a really large program, in a way that's really meaningful. And these houses will follow you throughout your 4 years here at the University of Maryland. There's a picture on here of our house cup. And so actually each of the houses will work to compete with the other houses for house cup points in order to be the house that wins the house cup every year. But the houses are really designed to be networking opportunities so that students can meet upperclassmen students, can really dig deeply into relationships within the courses that they're taking, and create study groups and other opportunities to network with each other. So from there, I believe we are going to shift into question and answer, which is what we were trying and hoping to get to first. We really want to make sure that folks are able to answer questions. So Stephen, do you want to queue up our students?
Yeah, I was just hoping that our the students who are with us tonight, who you see listed here, and maybe we can just go in this alphabetical order, can unmute and maybe briefly introduce yourself and say a word or two about why you're here. Luke, you're up.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Luke Amato. I'm a third-year undergrad studying computer science and finance. Sorry, I froze there for a second, I think, but I'm a third-year undergrad studying computer science and finance with a minor in statistics. I'm the president of the University Honors Student Board. And yeah, thanks for all the questions in the chat. If we didn't get to it in the chat, it's probably because we're saving it for the Q&A, and I'll also get the staff to send you all my contact information if you have any questions for me. But yeah, I'm constantly trying to just make UH better for you all and for the current students. So it's going to be really exciting. This new UH got an overhaul within the past couple of years, and so you're definitely coming in at the right time.
Hi, I'm Mary Catherine. I'm a freshman in the business school with currently an undecided major. And I'm basically just here because I was in your shoes last year and I remember being a little confused and I wanted all the answers. So now I'm on the other side of the table to help you guys out and help you learn that University Honors is the
Hi, I'm Sophie and I'm a sophomore and I'm planning on adding on a double degree in public health and computer science. And on campus, I'm involved in a lot of nonprofits like Camp Pessim and One for the World. So feel free to ask me about anything like that. And like Mary said, just really happy to help you guys get to know UH.
Hi, everyone. My name's Maddie. I'm a sophomore and I'm studying government and politics and also French. What else? I am involved in Maryland Women's Club soccer team. I'm also in the pre-law fraternity, and being in UH has really shaped my experience at Maryland. So I just want everyone else to be able to see the benefits of being in UH so that you can decide to join it because it's great.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam. I'm a sophomore kinesiology major and I just applied to the business school for a general business minor, so I'll hear back from that soon. I'm also in women's club soccer like Maddie, and I am also an academic ambassador on campus, so I help enforce the guidelines for COVID on campus, and I'm happy to be here to answer any questions, and I love talking about Maryland, so I'm happy to be here.
Great. So please, you'll see here that thank you all for introducing yourselves. You'll see here that there's a number of ways to put questions to us. And I haven't had a chance to look into the chat, but I see that it's been active. So that's a perfectly fine way. And you're also welcome to raise your hand and we'll call on you for a live answer as well.
I do see a hand raised, so why don't we start there? Cannon, if I think I'm pronouncing that right, if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, that would be great. Okay, we'll come back to you. If you are able to get your audio up. I think we're getting a lot of questions about sort of the experience of living on North Campus, about what it's like to sort of live in the University Honors world. So I'm hoping, can maybe a few of our students speak just a little bit about your experience living on campus in UH, particularly in your first year?
I can go. I would definitely say it's not isolated at all because most freshmen are on North Campus anyways. So living in Hagerstown is kind of the center of North Campus and you definitely don't feel isolated. I actually, even though Hagerstown is not known to be one of the most updated dorms. I feel like Hagerstown, everyone on their different floors was really close. So I feel like that's a plus. And I really enjoyed living there. So.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick on that. I think that everybody once in their life should have to live with no air conditioning. I've been saying this for so long, and Hagerstown has no AC, but the new dorms that are being created for you all, I believe, do have AC. So what a shame. What a shame that you'll have AC, but it honestly is so fun. And just meeting everyone, like being in a living learning program overall is great because you have like-minded people with you. And that's the greatest thing that you can have as a young university student is people that think like you, that are sort of like fast-paced, and I think it'll be a good experience.
I have just one more thing that I can add to that. I was kind of not concerned, but I wasn't sure if living in like the UH dorm would mean that I wouldn't meet people outside of UH, but there were actually a ton of people, or a decent amount at least, of people not in UH who lived in my dorm with me. So you're definitely not just like in this little UH bubble. You're still meeting people who are in tons of different majors in UH, which is also another plus, but also people who are even in like freshman connection or just regular UMD. So you're definitely still getting to meet all those people.
Kaylee, does someone want to jump in and maybe explain what's happening with the new dorms and what the timeline is for that?
Dr. Bloody, I'll hand that one.
Sure, I can take that. So there are new dorms under construction on North Campus. They are under construction, and I think that it's probably unlikely that they will be open this year. I haven't heard anything to suggest that they will be, and there's ongoing discussion about which students, how many students, et cetera, who will be moving into those. So I don't have much of an update to share with you, except to say that I don't expect that many, if any, of those spaces will be open this fall. But as you've heard from Luke, we have an impassioned advocate for life in Hagerstown, and that will be open.
Yeah, totally. When it comes to that, like, look, maybe in your second year of school, you might get a chance to live in those new dorms, or obviously in your second year, move to a different suite. But don't be discouraged by, the dorm you're going to live in, right? That shouldn't be a decision maker, because every dorm is fun, and every dorm's a different experience.
I just want to add something quickly. For some reason, I feel like specifically Hagerstown, everyone was just so close, and I can't explain why. Maybe it was the no AC, but everyone I talked to who is a sophomore or junior now said that when they were in Hagerstown as a freshman, their floor was just so close, and everyone would hang out in the lounge like all the time. So I feel like do not be worried about if you have to live there.
We've had a few questions about events in Hagerstown and with UH, and it's obviously been a little bit of a unique year, but we do have a Student Life Council, which is a group of students within UH that put on programs and events and initiatives that are mostly social in nature. We do also do a lot of different career workshops, opportunities for students to connect on a larger scale, and each of the houses will have its own traditions and opportunities for students to connect as well. So there's lots of opportunities to meet other people, and to sort of connect in some of those more social ways, as well as leadership workshops, career workshops, and opportunities for students to learn about those things. We're getting a lot of questions, maybe Dean or Stephen, about the 2-year versus 4-year question, since the curriculum seems to be only 2 years, but folks are involved for 4 years. So can one of you speak to that a little bit?
Sure, I've been eager to jump into the discussion. The program is really structured as a 2-year program for your first 2 years. There is a course called Vantage Point that kind of is the culmination of university honors that you can take in the first semester of your junior year. But we wanted to to structure the program for your first 2 years when students typically take more general gen ed classes, so that you're getting those lower level courses at, courses at the 100 and 200 level that can meet gen ed requirements that you need to graduate. And then in your junior and senior year in the majors, they offer what's called departmental honors, where you can do upper level honors work with a faculty mentor in your major. And there are all kinds of other opportunities for internships and research that we want you to have time to do in your junior and senior year. I also saw a couple of questions I wanted to jump in on about the clusters. One of them was, how do you select a cluster, and when you're in a cluster, can you change a cluster? And the clusters, to complete a thematic cluster, you just have to take 2 classes from that cluster. There's one course which we think of as the lead course in that cluster, and then there are 2 or 3 satellite courses around that. And you can tell the lead course because it always has the suffix A, and the satellite courses have the suffixes X, Y, and Z. And we've structured the program so that the lead courses with the suffix A meet a Gen Ed I-series requirement, and everyone needs 2 of those to graduate. So if you complete 2 thematic clusters, you're getting your 2 I-series done, and potentially some other Gen Ed requirements as well. And you select your track just by signing up for a class. So when you come to orientation and you register for the fall and you go, wow, this course 238X looks interesting, and let's say you take 238X, you've taken the first course in that cluster, and then in the fall, before you register for your spring classes, I'm going to send you an email that says, hey, you're in 238X now. To complete that particular cluster, you need to take 238A at some time. And we'll give you information. All of the clusters go for 2 years. So the ones that exist now, you've got 1 more year of those, and the new ones that we're offering, we got 2 years. So we have to give you good information about when the clusters end to make sure that you're going to have time to finish them up. So that's my spiel on clusters.
Great. We're getting a lot of classes about sort of course load, class management, and then also for students sort of how, based on your major, pre-med, engineering, business, others that you've seen, how has UH sort of contributed to your class experience, or how does that fit in to your experience? Can some students jump up and speak to that?
Yeah, I can talk. So I'm in the business school and I am a freshman, so I don't have a ton of experience with the whole internships, networking, any of that. But UH definitely has given me a lot of diversity in my learning. I think the business school is very business oriented and has a lot of the networking internship type of opportunities. And UH kind of gives me honestly a break from that and helps me learn about all the things that I'm interested in, the history, the science, all the things that I don't necessarily get to do in the business school. And it also gives me such a great community, friends that I wouldn't have met in my other classes. So it's really good for the community aspect. And
Yeah, I'll say something quickly. So as a 3rd year, I definitely have experience with different internships and things of that sort. I actually got several referrals from friends in UH, which, I mean, as you'll come into school, you'll realize that most of like getting an internship is networking. And so I think there is a lot of truth to not only the networking that's available in UH and the type of people, both alums and current students who are so smart and have connections at those companies, but there's also truth to be said that UH and your LLP shouldn't be, doesn't necessarily have to be focused right on your job, right? Like UH is a place where you can interact and delve into deep thinking issues. Like you get to actually think, toward gen ed credit, think about things that you wouldn't usually be able to in engineering or pre-med or whatever. And so it's really cool.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to what Luke said. So I saw in the chat, I'm a computer science major, so some people were asking about that and how that helped with internship opportunities. And I would say that, first of all, our CS program is amazing. So that definitely helps in itself. But I think that the main thing that helped for UH for me was just giving me this interdisciplinary aspect that you really can't get elsewhere. Like my first honors course that I took was on public health, and surprisingly enough, I ended up loving it and like pursuing a double degree in that. And mostly in my experience, interviewers really want to see that you know beyond just your own subject. You know how to interact with different types of people, which UH really helps introduce you to, that you have a way more broadened perspective than just your limited subset of your major. So I think that that's been the most beneficial thing. And exactly like Luke said, just providing you an extreme network of people, not only in your major, but across majors, across departments. A lot of professors that I know really well are from my honors courses. So I think that that's extremely beneficial.
I can also add to that. I would say as a kinesiology major, I take a lot of science classes. So being able to take these different honors courses in things that have nothing to do with my major is a nice break from my schedule. Like right now, I'm in a crime and public policy class, which has nothing to do with my major, but I'm really enjoying it and getting to learn something different. So it does provide you with that opportunity.
And I'm not sure if any of the students have any specific opportunities that they want to share about, but a lot of folks are asking about internships and research experience. I know the majority of our students do get involved in internship or research. Do any of you have stories that you can share about your experience, or Dean, maybe I'll bump it to you to give a little bit more context for some of those resources.
Well, we try to plug into campus resources as much as possible, and we also try to use our current students. There are students who volunteer to tutor and mentor. There's all kinds of things that you can plug into. I was in the middle of typing an answer to a question in the chat.
I'll also say that the role of UH is not to get you research opportunities. You know, like that's the role of other things on campus, and UH provides those resources to you. You know, gives you visibility to where you can find that. I am part of the computer science honors program where we do undergraduate research, and I've also had several internships in my time, and it's more like about the network of UH, like both the resources and the network you meet in UH that'll give you access to these other areas to really fund that type of stuff.
I can add to that. My spring semester of last year, I took biology, like BSci 170, and I took the honors version of it. And since most of my class was biology majors, my professor was great. So my class was also 20 people, which was a great advantage than the normal BSci 170 classes. But towards the end of the semester, she would host different sessions to get people involved in research, and she was involved in research herself, and she helped students in my class prepare and know what to do, like to send emails to professors if you're interested in their research. So even just being involved in UH and having those connections to those professors can be great to get involved in research that you're interested in.
Can I want to chime in at the risk of, thank you, Sam, at the risk of interrupting any of you, because I really want to underscore the point that Sam just made, and to say something about a way in which this hasn't become yet, but will, as soon as this fall, become an aspect of UH that I think, I saw one of the questions in the chat, you know, how does UH differentiate itself from other programs on the campus? One of the big changes we've made in the last year and a half has been the introduction of full-time faculty within UH. And that clinical faculty who's with us are there and devoted exclusively to UH to do exactly the kind of thing that Sam was just alluding to, which is to be aware of opportunities on campus, whether they're in that individual's particular discipline or outside of it, and to begin to connect you with ways to find, with avenues toward undergraduate research or even internships. So I think that's a really kind of special dimension to UH that we haven't been able to take advantage of as much this year because we've been remote. But once we return to in person, as we expect to in the fall, I think that will become a much more prominent dimension of the experience you can expect.
I'm hoping the students can talk a little bit, sorry to keep leaning on you all, but you are the experts here, a little bit about the class experience. So we have some questions about how difficult honors classes are in comparison to other classes, or what advantages you might see to being in those honors types of seminars, just so people can kind of see themselves in that space, right? What would that class look like and what would the evaluation for it look like?
I wouldn't say that the honors classes are necessarily more difficult. They are, like I talked about my biology class I took. It definitely moved at a faster speed than the normal biology class. However, my class was only 20 kids while the normal lectures were, I don't know, 300 students. So that's definitely a benefit. I was kind of going back and forth between taking the normal or the honors, but one of my friends in UH convinced me to take the honors, and I was so happy I did, because like I said, my professor was great and provided that one-on-one connection. I know there was a question in the chat about connection between professors. So obviously a smaller class size will provide those connections for you. But yeah.
Yeah, and I know I said that the role of your living learning program, whatever it is, UH or any program like that, isn't to give you research opportunities, right? But having access to those H-level classes allows you to interface one-on-one with really high level of faculty that you would nowhere else get the chance to talk to. And that alone will give you the opportunity to do undergraduate research possibly in something like that. Yeah. Also, real quick, in terms of the class difficulty, like a lot of the seminars, which obviously we're doing the clusters now, but like those type of seminars, you really got to engage with the material, with just surrender yourself to being in the moment with that material, because as you'll see, it's not all about getting straight A's in every single class. Like employers will take you whether you have a 3.4 or a 3.7. But what's more important is being able to think about ideas that are not in your specialty and be able to talk about them and engage with them effectively and challenge yourself.
Thanks everyone for your patience. We're trying to jump on as many questions in the chat as we can. So students and staff, please continue to try to work through as many of those as we can, the more specific questions as we can. But for the students, there's a lot of questions generally about how UH helps you to get where you are today, or how you see it contributing to your future. Can folks speak a little bit to that? Sort of how do you see it informing your future trajectory, and how does it help you to be successful, not only in the classroom, but really all together?
I can speak to that. I would say that, as we've been mentioning a lot, because it's true, the community aspect is so important. And I think UH specifically, because it is one of the larger programs, really gives you this access to a network, even if you're not building it within yourself. For example, you might be close to your floor in Hagerstown or wherever you live near university honors students, but that means that there's a ton of floors in the building you don't really know. But that means that later in life or later in college, when you're meeting these people, it's a lot easier to relate to them and also form like networking connections. For example, if I saw someone on LinkedIn that was in university honors, I would feel way more comfortable reaching out to them. We have this shared experience. And I think that that goes a long way, because as we've kind of touched on, a lot of getting your experiences later in life does come from networking and just having a really easy to talk to source of people to rely on.
Also for me, I came in undecided and I didn't declare my major until spring of my freshman year. And first semester freshman year, I took a seminar called, I think it was called From Fat to Fit to Olympic Gold. And it was all about the benefits of exercise. And being in that class kind of helped me figure out what I was interested in and ended up helping me pick my major. So having that access, even if you already know your major, just having that access, I know like Sophie was able to find something that she loved and make a double major out of it. Having that access to those additional classes that you would never have taken normally is definitely a really great benefit.
Any other student thoughts on that? How do you see UH contributing to your future? Luke, I'm going to lean on you for this because we just had a conversation about it today.
Yeah, I mean, like being in a program like UH, and I think this rings true for a lot of programs, but UH in particular gives you the benefit of, you know, forcing you to be a little bit of a leader on campus. And like preparing for your life is about figuring out what like what is your purpose. It's such in university you find out these really like integral questions about yourself, and that's why I love UH, because it forces you to confront those things in, you know, the seminars and beyond. And like, so for me, the amount of leadership opportunities within UH and the Honors College, right? So I'm the president of the University Honors Student Board, but you know, I didn't start out doing that. I was a leader in other things before taking this on. And what you'll find now is that in the new UH, when we come back in person, between the Student Life Council, the peer academic leaders, the peer mentors, and the student board, you will be challenged to be a leader, and you will thank UH for the rest of your life, in my opinion.
Great. So generally, and I'm going to ask all 5 of you to respond to this if you can. We have some questions sort of about community and events and why UH, like what has it really contributed, or what's your favorite part of UH? So can each of you just mention something that is the reason that you really love UH? And then we'll take the rest of the time to try to dig back in and get to some of the more specific questions that folks have asked.
I can answer for that one. This may seem like a really small thing, but at least I think it's still going, but at least when I was a freshman, I got this listserv that was put out by UH every week, and it would have like the weather, but it would also have like events of the week and things that are going on. And that was so helpful for me because, you know, UMD is a giant school and it can be kind of overwhelming. So just having all that information in one place, that was something I really like. I would read it every day. I looked forward to getting that, and it really helped me stay connected. So although that's like a small thing, that was one of my one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I can echo what Maddie said. I also really like that listserv, and I got most of my leadership positions on campus from like hearing about it through that listserv. But by far my favorite thing about UH was just meeting a bunch of people from different majors. I do think that that's one of the main factors that makes UH really unique. But for me, I came in as a like intended math major, but I didn't really want to be around just students who were studying math or computer science or whatever. I definitely wanted to get to know a bunch of people from different backgrounds who are interested in different things. That way I could also explore those options and not just kind of like narrow myself into one box. So I think that that was super fun for me to just get to meet a bunch of people and stay close friends with them, even if they weren't in my major.
I want to add on to that. I was also going to say that's one of my favorite things. I remember like the first day that we moved in and like meeting everyone on our floor. We went around saying our majors, and everyone had these super cool majors, like some that I've never heard of. And it was just extremely motivating. And it was just very motivating to be around people who are just so passionate about the things that they're majoring in and involved in. And it kind of just, definitely motivated me to want to get more involved and to find what I want to do, what I wanted to pick my major. So definitely being around people who have so many different interests, regardless if that's their major or not, is super cool.
Yeah, I hate to like echo everyone else and say the same. Aren't school with me in classes. And I think on top of that, a lot of the professors, oh my gosh, my phone is ringing. A lot of the professors are really focusing on trying to help us build that community within these online classes. So a lot of discussions, a lot of small group work, because they really understand that that community is so necessary.
Yeah, I think definitely what Samantha said about the different interests within UH is 100% true. I am one of those people that just does so many different things, and like at times it's you know, like I have a really busy schedule because I just want to experience as much as I can when I'm young, and UH is the best place to do that. And I see a bunch of things in the chat like, can I play a varsity sport? Can I double major? Can I do this? The answer is yes. The answer is yes to all of those questions. You can do as many things on campus as your time permits. And like, I mean, easily, like I'm doing 2 separate degrees and I'm doing an honors program. I run a lot of different organizations. You can do that as well. You can be in a varsity sport. It just is about setting your priorities. And yeah, the people in UH are all like that. You know, they all have these passions and are really good at setting their priorities, especially after your first year of school. I really encourage you to give UH a chance and watch us grow.
Just quickly, because this question's come up twice for students and staff, you can also jump in on this as well. Some questions about sort of the differences you've seen between being in a program like UH and the general UMD experience. Are there any things that you, through friends and other folks, have noticed how that experience has changed your journey at UMD?
Can I chime in? It's difficult to resist the temptation, but it's great to hear from all of you. And Luke has clearly drunk the Kool-Aid, and that's great to hear. But I want to say that because I think this is a way of encapsulating maybe some things we've already heard, but it might help to answer the question that Kaylee just put to us. I think you can think of UH in a way as sort of a curation of the University of Maryland, right? And so what we're up to, among other things, is identifying some of the most outstanding faculty on the campus and in the area, and bringing them to you in UH exclusively. We work really hard. The newsletter that a couple of you mentioned, I know Maddie mentioned, that Dean is responsible for sending out every week, and there's another version that comes out from our engagement team from Kaylee and Chelsea. That's a way of curating for honor students, UH students specifically, a whole the sort of avalanche of information that is out there on the campus, and directing it, identifying the best and most interesting and most salient, and providing that to you. So I think that's one of the ways you can think about the difference between the UH honors experience and the more general university experience, is that we're really trying to bring that university experience to a kind of liberal arts college kind of curated set of offerings and information and support to you in this community exclusively.
We are just about out of time, so I'm going to have to hand it back over to Chantel. I am going to drop in the chat, though, the link to our website. So the answers to many questions are there, including, what the curriculum looks like, how those tracks look, examples and pictures from different events, information on our student leadership opportunities. And so we encourage you to not let this be the last time you work with us. Check out our website, shoot me an email, shoot Stephen an email, or reach out to any of us to connect with any additional questions you have. We're more than happy to jump on the phone with you or to connect by